Thanks for joining us today here at Olathe Ford RV Center. We're going to be doing a complete walk around of this unit. This is the 319MB. It's the Coachmen Leprechaun. I know you're really going to enjoy it, so stay tuned for further information about this unit. Okay, our next thing here to talk about is our mirrors, and on this particular coach, the mirrors are adjustable from inside the driver's section. You want to be able to see that back right corner and the back left corner on the other side. And of course, there's a little button right above the left and right that controls the heaters. If you were in cold weather, that you'd be able to turn heaters on in these mirrors. All right down here, what we have are called blinker cameras. And the blinker cameras are controlled by your left and right turn signal. So when you turn on your right turn signal, you'll see down this right side on the monitor. Left side, same thing. And then also when you put the vehicle in reverse, you have a backup camera that will come on. There is a feature on, I believe on this unit, to turn on that backup camera while you're driving. So if you like that feature, it makes it kind of nice when you're in traffic in a city, be able to see who's right behind you. So I'll show you that when we get on the inside. Your yellow dipstick is located right about here underneath the hood. And the oil has been checked this morning. Everything's in good shape for a trip of this nature. Windshield wiper fluid is over in this corner, and it's been checked and topped off. Of course, when I get you in the driver's seat, we're going to check those windshield wipers to make sure they're working, and we're going to also check the fluid to make sure that it's working. First inspection of that windshield shows no cracks, no dents, no rock chips, none of that nature. If we should find any of those, we'll make a note on the paperwork. And of course, our hope is that you come back with no chips or rock chips in that windshield. All right, let's head over to this side. Okay, we got storage unit down under here. Got a couple of good sized storage units. The slide out, as you can see, is all the way in. When it comes out, it's about 4 feet. And so it makes it kind of difficult for you to get underneath and get these. I would recommend that you leave your slide out in while you're unloading, and then it'll make it a lot easier. You don't have to get down on your hands and knees. But good storage on this unit down this side here. I do have locks for all of these, and you'll have a key on your key ring that'll lock those should you decide you want that. Right here we've got one item that's sticking down. That is the exhaust from the generator. And the generator, if you're running it, it gets hot. And so if you have any little ones, make sure nobody touches that and doesn't get burned. All right, down here. Speaking of the generator, this is your generator for this unit. Only really a couple of reasons to have to come out here, because you can start the generator from inside the unit. But we do like to cover these. So it's just two little tags that come off to open up that door. Right here where I'm pointing are a couple of circuit breakers. And you can see there's a 30 amp and a 20 amp circuit breaker. If one or both of those pop like that, and the generator's still gonna start, but it won't send any power up to the upstairs. So if you're trying to run the generator and something isn't working, come out here and make sure those two toggles are pulled forward. That again is the correct position, and everything should work fine. In the very back, right back here, is a little oil bin, and that oil bin is just a little dipstick, and we've checked the oil in it this morning. You got plenty of oil. I do have extra oil for you should you decide you need it. Usually after about 18 to 20 hours of run time is when we ask that you check it. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to add oil, but it does mean to check it to make sure that we've got plenty of oil. The only other thing here is to start the generator out here, and it's just a prime button right here. We're waiting for the light to trickle or hear a little. There's the count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and hit start. Again, you'll be able to start this from inside the unit. Only reason to come out here is to either check those breakers or to check the oil. more storage right here. Power cord, that is your main power cord. It is 30 amp service, 3-prong is 30 amp. So you're gonna plug in here, and then at the RV park, you'll be plugging into 30 amp service. You may have an option also to use an adapter, and I'll show you that if that's back here, to run off of 50 amp service. And then there's also a 110 adapter plug. I'll talk about that. If you're gonna be heading home today before you head out, you could actually plug into your 110 outlet in your garage or outside your home while you're loading up. That's gonna keep the refrigerator running and turn on a few lights. No AC off of the 110 outlet. You do have to have 30 amp or 50 amp service for that, okay? Cable hookup, if you want cable at the RV park, that's where you'd hook in. Unleaded fuel, that's the only item on this that you're gonna fill up before you bring it back to us on the day of the return. I do recommend the Quick Trip across the way over here. That's the closest spot for you to fill up before you bring it back to us. Anytime you put fuel in, grab that little piece of rubber there that holds that on and listen for that click. Want to make sure that's sealed properly, and that way you're not going to get any kind of an engine light problem listed up on the front dash while you're driving. Okay, but unleaded fuel, the least expensive that you can find, is what you're looking for. Okay, this is your water connections for anything that you're going to be doing with water, and of course you've got a key that will get you into that compartment should you want to get in there. You just have to follow the diagram right here. So you can notice when the lever is pointed down, that is for city water, and that would be what you would be running when you're at an RV park. And if you want it up in this level up here, that would be for your tank fill. And that would be to add water so that you've got water in your storage compartment for traveling, should you want to use the restroom or have water available for the trip down and back. This is your inlet where you'll hook up the water hose, and I will also have a water regulator on the end of the water hose for you. That is preset at 40 psi. That allows the unit to not get damaged with high water pressure. A lot of the RV parks that you might go to in the country have got really high water pressure. They're servicing a lot of customers, and everybody wants to have good water pressure. So just make sure you do keep that water regulator on there at all times. Got a little light right here. Can't really see it, but at night that would help to light up that. If you're out here and you're trying to use the outside shower while you're traveling down the road, you pull off the side of the road and you want the outside shower, there is a water pump right there, and you do have to turn that on to be able to pump that water up out of that fill tank. And then the last item here is tank flush. Tank flush is you would take that water hose that you had hooked here and hook it up here to tank flush, and that's going to do with the dump station down below. It's just throwing more water into that dump tank when you're flushing it out, and you always want to make sure that you've got a hose hooked up and the black tank opened so that you don't have a problem with water coming out on the inside versus the outside. Okay, and on the water pump, this particular water pump, you've got two switches, one outside here and one inside. This particular switch will override the inside switch, so make sure that you're not trying to go back and forth. Just work this switch here outside and it will override that, and you'll have plenty of water pressure when you need it. Okay, and again, we've got an outside shower here with a key that will get in there and open that up. Again, if you're traveling down the road and you pull off the side of the road and you decide you need to wash off a child after hiking, or a dog gets dirty before they go back into the unit, you could use the outside water. You just got to go back and again turn on that water pump to use the water from the fill tank. And again, a key will get you in there and out to keep those all locked and secured. Okay, this is your dump station down below here. Always have a pair of gloves anytime that you're messing with the dump station. And you can use just regular old gloves, or you can get some of the throwaway type gloves that you might find for other items that you could use that for. The gray lever here is your dirty water. And that is your sinks, your kitchen and your bathroom sink, as well as your shower. And the black tank over here is your toilet. And so the proper order is black first to open that, and you just pull that lever. And of course you'd have your dump hose that I'm going to show you here in just a couple minutes would attach right here to this outlet, and that would come over and go down into the dump. Once you've dumped the black tank, you're going to close it, and now you're going to open up the gray. And the gray, again, is just your dirty water, so it will allow that to clean out that hose and everything and empty that tank. Close it once you're done, put your cap back on, and you're all done with your dump setup. Okay, we got our storage bay back here on this side of the unit. We got a couple of items in here. We've got that drinking water hose that we already talked about. There's our water regulator that we will hook up to the inlet for our water, and then the other end will go right to where you're going to get your water. Sometimes it's right next to the coach where you're camping, along with your dump station in some cases. Other parks, RV parks, it could be up in the front, the dump station, and you would have to go up there and dump your black and gray tank prior to leaving the park. We talked about a 110 adapter plug. That is a 30 to a 110 adapter plug. That would allow you to plug in at home the night before you're leaving, and just a regular 110 outlet. That's going to allow you to keep the refrigerator running overnight, so that when you get ready to leave town the next morning, all you have to do is load up the fridge. It'll be nice and cold. It is a fully electric refrigerator. We'll talk more about that when we get on the inside, but that's your 30 to 110 adapter. We talked a little bit earlier about your 30 to a 50 amp adapter plug. This would be if for some reason you go to an RV park and you have a reservation for 30 amp service, and the person behind the counter tells you, oops, sorry, I gave away your 30 amp spot, but I do have a 50. As long as you have this adapter, you'll be able to plug in to a 30 here and then to a 50 over here, and that'll run everything just like your normal 30 amp service. So that's a backup should you need it. We got a 90-degree dump that goes down into the dump station, and of course the hose would attach here and then down to your dump station down below with your 15-foot dump hose. Two items we talked about earlier with the generator. I do have extra oil and I do have a funnel, so that after 18 to 20 hours of run time on the generator, we ask that you check the generator. Doesn't mean you're going to have to fill it, but at least check it to make sure that there's plenty of oil. And of course the rest is just good storage across there to make sure. You have 3 access points on this coach to get into storage, and we're going to look at those in just a minute. Okay, as we talked earlier, your dump hose is located right here in your rear bumper. You can see there your orange caps. That is a 15-foot collapsible dump hose, and that you would pull out and obviously attach that down here to the dump station. Cap goes back on when you're done. Make sure it's on good and tight, and that'll secure everything in that bumper. Okay, back here. Always check to make sure your tags are good. Tags on this unit are good till August, so as long as you're back before the end of August, you're in good shape. Storage, access point from the back, gives you full access for a lot of storage. Be able to get your smokers, your chairs, anything that you might want to bring. Of course, luggage and all that could go in here as well. Backup camera, we talked about it earlier. Your backup camera, when you do put the unit in reverse, you'll be able to see everything behind you. And there's, again, an option to turn that on while you're traveling down the road. We'll discuss that more in further when we get on the inside. Last item here on the back is the ladder. It is rated at 250 pounds. And really, in my book, the only reason to get up on that roof, if you park under a tree and a limb or something would fall on the roof, then obviously somebody's going to have to get up there to remove that before you could continue. But outside of that, it's really not safe to be up on the roof for any other reason. Okay, we're on this side of the unit. I got, again, your third access point for storage. Good access on this side as well. Keys to lock all of these again. Good storage down this side, no slide out on this side to have to deal with, so I would recommend using this side first to fill most of your storage and the rear before you do anything on that other side. Outside power, that is a hookup. If you brought your barbecue grill with you and you wanted to hook in a barbecue grill, let's say you have a Blackstone or something of that nature and it runs off of propane, as long as you have your correct quick connect cable to hook for your barbecue grill, you could hook in here and run off of the propane on board. This is your furnace exhaust, and the exhaust from the furnace when it's running, this does get hot. So if you have any little ones with you that are traveling and the furnace is running, make sure nobody is touching that. This compartment is really for the back of the refrigerator. It's just for service, so there's really no need for you to have to get into this unit here. Okay, this is your hot water tank. And to open it, you just open that up. You've got your plug that's already on. Anytime you put water to the coach, whether you do a tank fill or whether you do a city water connection, it's going to fill your hot water tank up first. It is a small hot water tank, so showers are really short and sweet inside, but it only takes about 15 minutes total for, once you're hooked to city water, to fill back up that hot water tank and to heat back up the hot water after you've depleted it. More storage down underneath. And we've got an outside compartment here. It's really designed to bring an outside TV with you. You've got a power cord here and cable hookup. But if you had a small TV and you wanted to sit outside and watch your favorite game or watch something outside, if you brought a TV, you could hook it up there. Okay, last item compartment on this side is your propane tank. And you got a full load of propane. I'll show you on the inside. We got a monitor on the inside. But that is your emergency shutoff valve. If a warning goes off on the inside and tells you that there could be a possible leak, this is where you're going to turn off your propane tank and make sure that it's off while you're checking on the inside. Full load of propane should get you by for a good week or more. This is a portable solar panel hookup. If you brought a solar panel with you and you wanted to hook it in here and every 10-15 minutes move that solar panel towards the sun as it's moving across the sky, it's going to help to recharge your batteries on the inside, let's say if you were boondocking. But outside of that, that's what your portable solar panel is for. All right, last item before we go inside is your awning. And the awning is the #1 item that gets damaged the most. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Any wind gust of over 18 miles an hour can damage your awning. To bring the awning out, there's a button right inside here, and you just push it and hold it. When it comes all the way out, it's going to be about 10 to 12 feet. There's no rule that says you have to take your awning all the way out. If you only need to take it, for example, right now I have it at about 5 feet, and you're sitting in your chairs underneath the awning and it's doing what you want it to do, blocking the sun, I would say you're great. Any wind gust over 18 miles an hour, bring in that awning. And of course at night, the last thing before your head hits the pillow is to bring that awning in. Okay, this is your water pump. And remember in an earlier conversation, we talked about your water pump. You're only going to use the water pump when you're traveling or if you're boondocking. So if you have your tank filled with water and you need to pump that water up, you're going to turn that on. And now when you flush the toilet, the water will come into the toilet. When you turn on the faucet in one of the sinks, the water will come out. I'm a big turn off kind of guy. So if I'm not using it, I turn it off. Moving on down the line here, I've got a couple options on hot water heater. I've got gas option and I've got an electric option. The electric option, if you're going to be at an RV park and you're paying for electricity, I would probably turn on the electric. It takes about 15 minutes to heat up your hot water tank once you've depleted that hot water source. If you're boondocking or you're traveling down the road and you want some hot water, you could run off of the propane and you'd turn on the gas. So two options there, or a backup if one or the other would fail. Tank heaters are specifically for cold weather camping, and all they're doing is they're putting a little bit of heat around that black and that gray tank to keep those safe so that cold temperatures aren't causing any damage to those black and gray tank. Generator right through here. This is where we'll turn on the generator from inside. 9 out of 10 times you're going to use this option here versus the outside option. But to start the generator, you're just going to prime it once. You're going to wait and hold for that light to come on. Count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and hit start. You can hear the generator, you can feel the vibration. You know the generator is running because the light is on. To turn off the generator, it's just hold the stop button. The light goes out, and I'm going to continue to hold until the vibration stops and you can no longer hear it. We do have a clock down here. We don't know when you run the generator, we just know how many hours you run the generator. And on your contract, you've got 5 hours a day generator time that's built into your contract, unless you signed up for unlimited generator time. Okay, over here we've got a Wi-Fi button. Wi-Fi button does turn on, but there is no Wi-Fi on this coach. So if you have a phone that you are getting Wi-Fi hotspot, that would be your Wi-Fi. Over here I got a couple of slide out buttons on this unit. We've got the full side of the unit over here that's controlled with the side slide. And then I've got a back closet in the bedroom that will bring those out. To extend those, I'm just going to hit the outside. Of course, that is going out about 4 feet. And so it all the way out, and you'll hear that stop. And that's a normal sound. A lot of little cricks and things that you'll hear in the slide out when it goes out, but that's typically normal. On the back slide out, I'm going to go ahead and put that out now as well. You can hear it. The back slide out is going out in the bedroom, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the back bedroom area. All right, here's all our levels, and I just recommend that once a day somebody check these. This will give you an update on how much water you have, what you have in your black tank and your gray tank, and of course it'll check your propane level and your battery. You just hold the button down and you'll see all the lights light up. E is for empty, F is for full, so we have a full load of propane on board right now. The battery is completely charged all the way over to full. The fresh tank. I haven't put any water currently on this coach, so it's empty right now. The black tank is empty, and the gray tank is empty. Okay? All right, this item right here, you probably aren't going to use this, but this is to do with your generator, and it's a way that you can pre-program your generator to come on at certain times of the day or night. For the most part, you're going to be dealing with your generator right here. Should you make the decision to want to run your generator, I wouldn't worry about this. Down here we got a couple items. This is going to come up on your checklist. That is your main battery disconnect, and you're just going to leave that in the on position the whole time. There's no reason to turn that off. The only time we turn it off if we're storing this vehicle for 2 weeks or more, so we don't run the battery down. Over here I've got light controls throughout the whole coach. I've got my patio lights out on that awning that we talked about that you can turn off and on. I've got cap lights. That's out on the front side of your vehicle for traveling at night, or if you want to look cool in the campground, turn those on. I got my entry lights right here. Those control your lights right inside the coach as you're going in. And I've got back here compartment lights. That's your back storage compartments. Again, if you need some lights back there at night, you can turn those on. Again, blue light on, you've got lights turned on. And then the final switch down here is that awning that we looked at earlier. That's where I can control that outside awning. Just again, a point of caution, anything 18 miles an hour or more on the awning, bring it in. and please bring it in before you go to bed at night. Okay, one of the last couple items before we come inside, that is your fire extinguisher. It's fully loaded and ready to go. I hope you don't have to use it ever, but it's here should you need it. The last item underneath the steps here is where we have our house battery. And our house battery, that's what runs everything in the back half of the coach. Of course, you have a chassis battery under the engine that drives the vehicle, and then you have the house battery here. 3 ways to charge this house battery. You can either drive the vehicle, and that alternator is charging both the chassis and the house battery. You can plug it in to 30, 50, or 110 for power, and that's going to trickle charge your battery. And the third way to charge this house battery is to run your generator. So if you're boondocking and you need to charge the battery, about 2 hours run time of generator would recharge fully on your battery. Okay, we're going to talk about some of the inside units that you've got available here to you. Of course, right here, I've got extra power hookups and USB for charging, and then that goes out of the way. And of course, you got your TV here that you can pull up. If you're going down the road and you want to watch TV, you're going to have to turn on the generator to get power to run that. But when you're not using that TV, you can, of course, turn that off. And this remote is going to go in this drawer. You've also got a fireplace down below here. That is electric, and I would recommend you use the electric fireplace to take a little chill off in the morning. And then you've got a radio that's built in right here as well that you can run stereo, and there's your remote. But all 3 of those remotes go in that drawer right there. When the TV's not operational, then you can hide it. There's just a button here on the side that moves that TV down, and that's going to give you more counter space here for serving lunch or breakfast, whatever you want to have some more room. One of the items that we definitely want to make sure that you're aware of is the RV troubleshooting guide. This is in every one of our rentals, and it's broken up by room, so by kitchen, living room, outside of the coach. There's all kinds of places to find information, and this absolutely covers everything that I'm talking about today. So if you have a question when you leave here, it's like, what did he say about that? Go to your RV troubleshooting guide, and it's going to answer those questions for you. A lot of the times we keep that up here, or you might find it in a drawer as well. Okay, you got your sink here, and of course your hot and cold water that you can run off of. If you're hooked up to city water, everything is going to run just like your house. So when you turn on the hot water, give it up maybe 5 minutes at the most, and you'll have hot water, but you'll be good to go. If you're running off of that fill tank, make sure you turn on that water pump to make sure that you're pumping that water out of that fill tank. I got lighting up underneath here. I've got lighting here on my hood. I've got a fan as well. I've got a microwave up here, and it is a convection microwave. So convection microwaves cook a little bit hotter and a little bit quicker. My recommendation is on anything for convection, cut the time in half. If it says 8 minutes, do 4 minutes, and then add minutes accordingly until the item is done. Otherwise, you may burn it, and then you have to start all over again. Over here, I've got my cooktop, and that's propane. That's what you're running off of your cooktop. It is just like your barbecue grill. So when I get ready for operation, I'm going to open up this lid here. And again, this is not a cooktop. This is for traveling. So make sure that we're not trying to cook on top of this. Open up that lid. We got 3 burners, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I've got a 4th button over here, that's for the oven. And I've got what they call the striker, which actually lights the unit. So if I want number 1 on, I'm going to turn this over to high, and I'm going to use the striker. And we ignite. I want the number 2 on, striker, and of course the same with number 3. I can also adjust my flame height right here. And then of course when you're done with it, off, 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 and the oven as well. The only thing different on the oven for its use is you're going to turn the oven over to the pilot light, and now you're going to hold that button in, and now you're going to come back to the striker and you're going to click it multiple times. Don't be surprised if you do this somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10 clicks to get that pilot light to lit. So all I'm looking for back underneath here is that pilot light to light, and there it happened on the 3rd click, so that's a good thing. Now I'm going to let go here, and I'm going to crank that all the way up to my max temp of 495. And now when I shut the oven, after about 15 minutes, we'll have full temperature set at 495. Of course, I can readjust my temperature. There's 400, 350 for those pizzas and things that you might want to cook while you're out on the road. I do have some little fancy lights there, and I've also got lights down in my oven as well. Once I'm done with the oven, make sure that's turned off and everything is in the off position now. My striker button, it does not have to be aligned back up to the top. Wherever it's at, it can stay like that. Last item up here on the cooktop. Once you've been using the cooktop, let it cool down properly before you put your glass back over it. We don't want that to shatter. If that top is too hot, it could shatter that glass. So we want that down for traveling. Right, we got a light switch right here, which operates our lights right above my head. And then this button over here is a refrigerator disconnect button. The reason for that refrigerator disconnect, some people maybe aren't using the refrigerator and they might want to just turn it off here. But the way to know if your refrigerator is working, lights on in the refrigerator, you're working. If you turn off the button and the lights go out, now your refrigerator is off, okay? But it is a fully electric refrigerator, 12 volt, and the setup time for cooling is approximately 60 to 90 minutes of run time to get that refrigerator and freezer up to temp so that you can use it. Again, remember your 110 plug at your house overnight. If you are planning to leave in the morning early, plug into that 110 outlet at home and you'll have your refrigerator turned on and you'll be having your refrigerator nice and cold in the morning before you leave town. One of the nice items about this unit is that you've got a control right inside here of the fridge and the freezer. And our recommendation is that you leave that on cold, and that will give the freezer proper cooling temperatures to get it to where it needs to be, and it will keep your refrigerator cold as well. Okay, we got our shower that is here, and of course you got a nice skylight in there for somebody, of course, like my height that is 6 foot tall, or if somebody's taller than that. That skylight allows you to get in there safely and to, of course, take your shower. You got hot and cold here, and of course you got a light up above here to give you lighting no matter what time of day that you're in that shower. Okay, we've got our back part of the coach here. We're going to talk about the bedroom, and we've got, of course, the closet area, which is part of the slide out. And of course, you've got good storage here with hanging bars on this side. And then on this side, you've got some built-in cabinets for shoes or those heavy sweaters and things that you might want to put in there for traveling. Back over here, I've got, of course, my cabinet with another hanging bar there and another one on the other side. And then, of course, we've got a little closet down here, drawer that will allow you to use. When you're using this particular drawer down here, always make sure that is shut, because when you bring in the slide out, you don't want that slide out to run into that drawer. We do have a button right here on the side of the back unit that will operate this slide out, and I'm going to demonstrate that now. You'll hear the slide out coming in, but I'll actually be able to look here into the room and make sure that that drawer is closed all the way properly before we bring in that slide out. All right, so this is our slide out for the control of the back slide out closet. And I'm going to bring that in right now. Again, I'm just double checking to make sure that that drawer over there is closed properly that we demonstrated earlier. But you can now hear the slide out coming in. I'm just holding the button down all the way until it gets all the way in, and you'll hear it stop at the very end. So we're over on this side of the bed, and obviously you got more storage here with a hanging bar for more storage. I've got USB here for charging by the green light, and I've got, of course, a 12 volt if you wanted to plug something in there on a 12 volt. And of course, right behind me here is your emergency exit. So if for any reason one of your 3 doors up front are blocked, highly unlikely that that's all going to happen at one time, but this is your way out of here if you had to get out of this unit in an emergency. We've got our shades throughout the coach. They are just pulled down and pushed back up for traveling, whatever you desire. And of course, you got a mattress topper here on the bed that protects the bed. And this is a queen size bed. So when you're looking for sheets to bring along, be sure and bring your queen size sheets for this coach. Up underneath that headboard, we've got a light button right over here that operates that headboard light. And then up here in the ceiling, I've got one of, looks like 3 or 4 of our vents. Those have got a hood on them that needs to remain down for traveling. But once you stop and you decide you want to use those, you can manually open up those. There's a little crank button right here. And then there'll be a button that will turn on a fan. Very similar to like an attic fan. You've got one here, one in the bathroom, and a couple up in the front of the coach that will allow air to circulate. If it looks like bad weather's coming, be sure and put those vent hoods down so that you don't get wet. Okay, we're in the bathroom area, and of course a couple of important things here in the bathroom. I do have a GFI switch right down here. That is your main GFI switch, and that would be tied to some of the outlets. If your outlet is not working, come here and reset it, just like one that you might have at your house to get that to operate. Down below right here, we've got the pedal. That's what flushes your toilet. Half push down for liquids, all the way down to the floor for solids. We want to count of about 5 seconds to allow enough water into that toilet to flush properly. You're going to be using only RV toilet paper in this coach. And I do have 4 rolls of RV toilet paper. That is the only toilet paper, again, that you'll use in here. No feminine products, no baby wipes, no army men, nothing extra down that toilet, okay? We do have some extra chemicals here that we also include, a little pod that would go down into the toilet after you dump your black tank. Put that down into the toilet and then hold the pedal down for approximately 5 seconds. That will allow enough water down into the tank. This is going to help with the smell. And it's also going to clean off those sensors that could give you a false reading in your black tank. Okay, we got your breaker panel down here that we're going to talk about. This is your main breaker panel. Just pop that open, and now you can see all your breakers along here. They are just like at your house. You have a breaker that you can reset. They're all labeled as to what they're for. On this side over here, I've got 12-volt fuses. And up in your front glove box, I do have extra fuses for you. A little light will pop on right next to the fuse. That's telling you that that's the bad fuse. So there's no hunting and pecking. You'll know exactly which fuse it is you need to pull. You pull it out, you pop in a new one. They are color-coded and numbered. Throw away the bad one, and you should reset, and everything should be back up and operating. Down here, we've got your LP warning device. And your LP warning device is just a warning, like an alarm, like a smoke detector, that could actually tell you that there's a possible leak. And so we do want to take it seriously. When you hear that alarm, no matter whether you're driving or if it goes off in the middle of the night, you want to go outside to that propane tank that we talked about earlier and turn off your propane. You're going to give it about 5 minutes for things to calm down in here. Hopefully at that point that alarm will shut down. You can probably open some windows or get a fan going to clear out the area, and that should shut up. Turn back on the propane, and if you come in and you do not hear another alarm, it was probably a false alarm. They do happen occasionally. What could cause a false alarm? Any kind of chemical that you might be cleaning with in here, anything with ammonia could accidentally set that off. The sensors in there work by smell, and they're just telling you that it doesn't like that particular smell. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always propane. It could be something else as well. But you do want to take it serious. If it is a propane issue, you want to leave that propane off, and of course then call that 800 number to report that there's a problem with the propane. Okay? Be safe all the time. All right, this area right here is our dinette area, and of course this does break down into a small bed. If you wanted to use this for a small bed, you just loosen up the knob underneath here and you take that tabletop off. There's a single pole that you just take that loose, you lay the pole down, and then this tabletop is going to fit right on these little wooden casters that goes down to here. And then we're going to use our back cushions to fill in. We've got one here, and I've got an extra cushion up front that would fill in that gap to make that into a small bed. Okay, we've got our little fold-out seat here, which actually does make into a bed as well. So you just pull up, and it's going to jackknife and lay flat for a bed. Of course, you've got your seat belts here for traveling to keep everybody nice and safe. Up above, I've got lighting controls for this side. And then, of course, inside my cabinets here, I've got your privacy curtain. And your privacy curtain would be for at night or during the day if you're trying to block the sun. But this is to give you a little bit more privacy in the coach. You've got Velcro right here that these will attach to and keep people from being able to look in the coach. Okay, we've got our upper deck here area with the bed for it if you choose to use this. Be sure and do use the ladder. We do have some armrests down here, and please don't allow children or anybody to climb up on those armrests. You can snap those off, but do use the ladder. The ladder, of course, when you're not using it, can easily be stored up top for traveling, and everything will work good. You do have a little screen here that locks in to keep people from rolling out. If you got rollers in your group, they're sleeping up here. We sure don't want anybody to fall out in the middle of the night. So put up the screen and it'll help protect them from rolling out at night. Queen size up top up here. You've got little lighting up overhead, and you've got a couple of reading lights on each corner that are touch lighting. For traveling, I'm going to recommend that you put this up and push this all the way up. It will allow you taller folks to get in and out of here nice and easy and not have to bend over. Okay, we're in the driver's seat, and we're going to cover a few items up top here for you to be able to, of course, travel safely down the road. Typical Ford product, you got your data sharing screen right up in there. We are 505 miles till empty, so I do have a full tank of gas for you to travel with. You can control your up and down arrows here to control that data screen. Of course, I've got standard cruise control. It is not active cruise, but standard cruise, so you will have to press on the brake before you run into that vehicle in front of you. On the left-hand side, I've got, of course, my windshield wipers, and I've got my little button in there that controls my windshield fluid, so both of those look like they are operating correctly. And now that we can get a good view of that windshield, again, I do not see any additional chips or cracks in that window. That's the way we want it to come back after your travel. Down here on the far left, I've got my lighting switches all the way over to the light bulb. I've got a green light on my dash here that's telling me that my lights are on, and of course that is dusk to dawn, so if you leave it on the light bulb, it will come on in the evening once the lights set up. Over here on the left side, I've got my mirror adjustments. We talked about that earlier, but I've got my left and my right. I want to be able to see the back left corner with the slide out in, and of course with the door closed on the other side. And then the button above is again for cold weather. If you run into freezing rain that you want to have some heat on those mirrors, you can just turn that on and the heater will come on and keep those mirrors nice and clean. Again, we talked about blinker cameras, so here's my monitor system up here. I'm traveling, I'm getting ready to take a right, so I turn on my right turn signal, my blinker's on, but now I've got a view down this right side, and of course you can see the door is open currently. If we were traveling, that would be closed. On the left side, I've got a view down the left side, and of course the slide out is currently all the way out. For traveling, that would be all the way in, but that would be my blind spot. And then of course when we put the vehicle in reverse, here in a minute I'll start up the vehicle and we'll put it in reverse, and you'll see a view of the backup camera, and there's your backup camera right now. So approximately 3 to 4 feet before I would run into that door that's currently closed on my backup camera. This particular system does allow that backup camera to work the whole time that you're driving. So this is automatic, and you'll have that view while you're traveling down the road the whole time, unless you turn on the right or the left turn signal. On my little monitor right here, this is what's controlling, of course, my radio and a couple other options on here. I've got Android Auto and CarPlay, and I've got my plug-in, so no matter which phone that you are operating with, if you plug in your power cord here and you select the proper CarPlay or Android Auto, whatever you're playing on your screen, if you have navigation up, it will throw it up here on the screen as well. I've got another center screen here. This operates my phone, Bluetooth music, and of course all your setups. And then the final is just AirPlay, so whatever's playing on your phone would play up here as well. All your radio and everything is controlled right here on this screen. You've got volume control, and of course scanning. Once you get into a different town, you'll have to scan for those local channels. Down below here, I've got just my typical AC and heat, and I've got my vents and my maximum temperature control here. On the left side is my fan control. Underneath here, I've got USB for charging. I've got USB over here for charging. I've got a 12 volt there if you brought your own Garmin or something of that nature that you could hook up there as well. We are a high profile vehicle, so 12 feet high to the top of the AC shroud. Anything on the major highways, you should be good. It's when you get off the major highways that you have to pay a little closer attention to that 12-foot height limit. We are 10 feet wide, mirror to mirror, and so just keep an eye on things there. Down here in the glove box, we talked earlier about some fuses. There are the extra fuses for your breaker panel in the back, as well as proof of registration and any kind of pamphlets or information that you might need on this Ford F-Series vehicle. Thank you all for watching our videos today. We really do appreciate you coming and joining us. If you have any questions whatsoever about any of our rental units, contact Ashley in our rental department, and she'll be happy to answer those questions about future dates that you might be interested in. But thanks again for watching.